After Donald Trump's decisive election win, incumbent U.S. President Joe Biden has assured a peaceful transition of power. Biden, while thanking his party and staff, accepted the election result and slammed critics questioning the fairness of the electoral system.
Yesterday, I spoke with President-elect Trump to congratulate him on his victory, and I assured him that I would direct my entire administration to work with his team to ensure a peaceful and orderly transition. That's what the American people deserve.
The outgoing president called on Americans to tone down the political temperature going forward, but Trump has already shown his intent to ditch Biden's policies by suggesting he would talk to Vladimir Putin. As per reports, Trump has said that he has not talked to Vladimir Putin since his victory, but thinks that they will speak. The Russian president has also said that he is ready to hold discussions with Trump as he congratulated him. And Putin praised him for showing courage during an assassination attempt in July. He said Moscow is ready for dialogue with the Republican president-elect.
You can think of him whatever you want, because everyone initially in his first iteration as president said that he was mainly a businessman and that he understood very little about politics and could make mistakes. But first of all, I can tell you, his behavior at the moment of the attempt on his life impressed me. He turned out to be a courageous man.
This marks a seismic shift from the icy silence that has existed between Joe Biden and Vladimir Putin since Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022. It also underscores Trump's criticism of U.S. support for Kyiv. Trump has previously said that he would push through a peace deal in the conflict. But Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that calls for a ceasefire are dangerous. Meanwhile, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has said that the U.S. set up for success on the global stage if they follow through on the important things. The Pentagon chief highlighted work with NATO and Indo-Pacific partners as some of the country's strategic achievements in the last 4 years.
So Ukraine needs the firepower and the ammunition.
That'd be awesome.
Austin also vowed that the Pentagon is committed to an orderly transition to the incoming administration. And to discuss further, we are now being joined by VOA White House correspondent Anita Powell from Washington, D.C. Anita, first up, a lot is being said about the wars that are currently on in the world right now. We are seeing two major conflicts, one in Europe and one in West Asia. What do you think Donald Trump's policy towards the conflict will be? We just spoke about how there has been an icy silence between the Biden administration and Ukraine and Russia, and Putin rather, more specifically. What do you think is the road ahead from here on?
Right. Well, as you mentioned, that is a significant development after years of no communication between Joe Biden and Vladimir Putin. The Putin is congratulating Trump and also indicating a willingness to speak. However, that said, the question should be on what terms, on whose terms, because Trump's insistence on bringing this conflict to a swift end indicates that he may not be negotiating in the interest of Ukraine regaining any territory or getting any sort of upper hand. This would advantage Russia. And of course, Ukraine would not be very happy about that, and NATO would not be happy about that. As you know, European defense officials and leaders met, I believe it was today, in Budapest to talk about European security now that Donald Trump is at the helm and is expected to no longer take a leading role in NATO. We know his disdain for NATO during his first term. He's expected to act on that more swiftly during his second term. So this is an interesting development amid what I think many NATO leaders see as a very concerning development, the election of Donald Trump.
Joe Biden has assured of a peaceful transition of power. How has the process kicked in, and what will it entail as a process, broadly speaking?
I was there in the Rose Garden about 11 hours ago when President Biden uttered those words and struck that note and promised. And later in the press room, we learned about some of the paperwork that's being exchanged between the Biden administration chief of staff and the Trump campaign transition team. It sounds like it's still in progress, and the White House is optimistic that they will sign all of the documents that will allow them to legally sort of gain access to staff and start planning for the transition. But it looks like that is in progress. We've heard of different transition teams from the Trump administration going out to different government agencies already this week to try to work on the transition. So the Biden administration has said that they're very keen on making this a smooth transition. The president has invited new President Trump, former and future President-elect Trump, back to the White House to meet and to talk about the transition. And I think it's clear that the Biden administration is doing everything that they believe they can to make this a very peaceful and easy transition. But it does sound like there are a few hiccups, some of this paperwork, and the Biden White House is saying that this appears to be on the Trump side.
Joe Biden still has some time left in office. Do you expect, or is there any process that's on for him to perhaps take a few different policy decisions as regards the wars that are ongoing right now?
I asked this very question today in the press briefing to ask, what are the priorities? And the short answer is no. Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre indicated that the priorities remain freeing the American hostages, and all the hostages indeed who were held by Hamas, and also working towards an end of the Ukraine conflict, what they call a just peace. So those are not really significant changes at all.
All right. Thank you so much, Anita, for joining us with those updates.